earlier this morning was a better time to interview him. And you better buckle your seatbelts with the Tom Rens interview. I'm just going to be straight up about it. I think it's a great interview, and I think that it really is echoing what MAGA is saying, and also that is out of love and respect for MAGA, for President Trump, for freedom. It's just what's needed for our country to keep the border closed and keep the deportations happening and keep all the executive orders, the great ones that President Trump has signed, which are most of them, right? Or however many, right? So maybe we'll go to that here in just a minute. I'll wait until 1:20. How about that? 1:20, we'll go to the Tom Rens interview on a split screen as we await the President of the United States. And what we can do
Раз,
is,
раз.
as we see the Ukrainian leader pop up, that's usually only for 20 seconds anyway. So we'll be able to just pause that interview and get back to it right after that. We're hearing stand by from the producers, and we're seeing the camera people, the still photographers there taking photos. So why don't we do this? Let's roll the dice and see if the Ukrainian leader is about to be there. I mean, they might be just taking photos of the flag, so I don't know. Let's just give it a shot, though. Let's go there live and see if Vladimir Zelensky is about to pull up.
What is, you said something. I moved. Also, it's the flags. Okay.
Прекрасно. Прекрасно.
Yeah, I'm also going to go down.
Ready? Oh. Ready? Oh. Ready? Pose. Ready? Pose. Ready? Pose. Ready? Pose.
Давайте, дамы и господа, не забывайте писать сообщения в чат. Кто-нибудь скажите, слышно меня или нет. Кто-нибудь напишите в чат, слышно меня или не слышно. Потому что я буду переводить в прямом эфире.
All right, so we're getting ready to see the Ukrainian leader pull up in the SUV, just like we've seen a lot of the world leaders. Of course, they pull up right there to the entrance of the west wing of the White House. The Eisenhower Executive Office building is over there to the right as well. And so the Oval Office right back in that area. And then also that new Rose Garden looking great there at the White House as we get ready
Кто-нибудь
to see
напишите в чат,
the
слышно меня
Ukrainian
или
leader.
нет. Я
In the
пока
meantime,
настраиваю
we're going to go to a couple
режим на
sponsors. And if we do
ТикТоке.
see the leader pull up, of course, we'll go directly to that live feed, even in the middle of a sponsor. In the meantime, let's talk about this water crisis. But you remember back in the day in Flint, Michigan, You'd think America would have gotten its act together by now on clean drinking water, but think again, because lead
Раз,
and
раз,
heavy metals are still showing up in
раз,
city
два,
after
три.
city. The pipes running into your home, of course, they're really old. And what's flowing through them is
Раз,
not what you
два,
ever
три.
want to give your kids to
Раз,
drink.
два, три.
That's why the Cove Pure water purifier is one of the best investments you can make to keep your family safe. Because unlike the government in this situation, Cove Pure actually does its job. The EPA itself admits millions of Americans are still exposed to lead in tap water. Lead exposure, by the way,
Пожалуйста,
doesn't just make
кто-нибудь
your water
что-нибудь
taste
напишите в
very
чат. Someone write in
awful.
the chat
It can cause
if you can hear
terrible health
my
problems.
voice.
It can also cause brain damage, cancer, and those long-term health issues. But definitely, what could go wrong if you just keep trusting, city council to take care of it? Why not just get Clearwave technology here with Cove Pure? It removes up to 99.9% of contaminants, lead, fluoride, pharmaceuticals, you name it. No plumbers, no drilling. Just plug it in on your countertop. You can set the temperature you want with the touchscreen, and it actually tastes like water. So don't wait around for the government to solve this. They won't when it comes to the water situation. So go govepure.com/RSBN. You can get $200 off while supplies last, and then you can take back your control of your family's health and finally drink water the way it was meant to be. Let's also go to one more sponsor as we await the Ukrainian leader. Let's go to Perplexity. You know that specifically when it comes to how much time you spend on a web browser, how much time do you spend clicking around online, searching, scrolling, typing endless tabs? Well, there's a new AI web browser from Perplexity. It's called Comet. I've used it before. It's completely changing the way you're able to interact with your browser. So Comet feels like having a personal assistant living in your web browser that can actually do things for you across the internet. Instead of just give you answers, it actually can do things. You could ask Comet to handle tasks for you. It literally clicks,
Кто-нибудь
types, searches,
в чат
scrolls,
напишите, если меня
and
слышно.
get things done for
If
you
someone
in
can
the
hear
background while you
me,
go about
could
your
you
day.
please let me
Comet
know
can
in the
shop
chat?
for you, make reservations, book travel, summarize articles or videos, send emails, schedule meetings, and a lot more to make your life easier. All you have to do is download Perplexity's new AI web browser, Comet. You can go to the website you see there on the bottom right of your screen. Plus, right now, when you download Comet, you get a month of Rumble Premium for free. So that's pplx.ai/RSBN. Go now and take back your time online. Browse at the speed of thought with Comet. And that's exactly what it is. It's pretty cool that you can just say, hey, book me travel from Atlanta to Detroit, and it's going to go do that for you. All right, let's go through a couple of our videos. We'll keep a split screen up in the meantime and see if we can air this Tom Rens interview in just a bit. But let's go to President Trump from Wednesday. If you're just joining us now, I was talking about the indictments that are happening out there. Well, we know President Trump is a little frustrated. You can tell by the nonverbal communication that he's saying what he said just the other day. Again, nonverbal communication, I believe, is what, 94 or 96% of communication. Let's look at that clip from Wednesday.
These are sick, bad people. And don't tell me about us going after them. If anything, we've been very, very soft. I wouldn't be that soft, I'll tell you that. Thank you very much, everybody.
Не говорите. Насколько...
And the president has spoken about that on Truth Social as well. So we know, we the people know what it takes to win as well, because we chose a winner in President Trump to be the leader of the free world. So speaking of the world, we're going to see the Ukrainian leader here shortly. Meantime, let's go to the scene just last night in Oklahoma. This was at the Turning Point Tour. Yet another packed house for God, family, country, freedom, and the late, great Charlie Kirk, who stood for it all.
Да.
This is just from last night in Oklahoma. Take a look.
Это Оклахома.
Quite awesome to see that. Again, every arena, every auditorium, people are just packing out the house for God, family, faith, freedom, and the late, great Charlie Kirk. So TPUSA obviously has always done a great job. We we've seen that over the years too. All of those great conferences. My wife and I were at AmFest in 2022. Got a chance to meet Charlie, interview Charlie. It was awesome, and we talked about Jesus in that interview. It was pretty awesome stuff. But all of the events that happened with TPUSA, anytime TPUSA is involved, that conference is awesome. How about those times when President Trump would be at a conference as well and speak there with TPUSA, and all the production is just awesome. All right, so let's do this. Let's go to, since we're talking about TPUSA, since we're talking about the White House, because we see the picture there live, the White House, I believe it was just about 24 hours ago, posted a great video from the event that happened on Tuesday when Mrs. Erica Kirk was speaking, as Charlie Kirk posthumously was awarded the Presidential Medal of Freedom. Let's go to that video right now.
The Presidential Medal of Freedom is awarded to Charles James Kirk. The United States honors him as a martyr for truth and freedom.
Charles James Kirk was a visionary and one of the greatest figures of his generation. With hard work and joyful spirit and endless enthusiasm and determination, Charlie grew Turning Point into the largest conservative youth organization in the entire country. In his final moments, Charlie testified to the greatness of America and to the glory of our Savior, with whom he now rests in heaven. As I said, on the day that he was assassinated, Charlie Kirk was a martyr for truth and for freedom. So we hold his memory in our hearts forever. Every single day of this administration, we will continue to carry out the mission for which he lived.
Today we're gathered not only to celebrate Charlie's birthday, but to honor a truth that he gave his entire life to defend, and that's freedom. I can say with confidence, Mr. President, that you have given him the best birthday gift he could ever have. Charlie's life was proof that freedom is not a theory, it's a testimony. He showed us that liberty begins not in the halls of power, but in the man of a heart surrendered to God. To live free is the greatest gift, but to die free is the greatest victory. Happy birthday, my Charlie. Happy Freedom Day. God bless you.
A great event on Tuesday and a great event on September 21st at that memorial for the late, great Charlie Kirk. As you guys know, the power of God moved heavily that day in Arizona. All right, let's go there to Washington, D.C., as it looks like the Ukrainian leader, Vladimir Zelensky, is about to pull up. Let's go there now.
Are you going to give him the tomahawks, Mr. President?
Are you able to solve Afghanistan and Pakistan war as well? Afghanistan people have a high expectation from you. Please end war between Afghanistan and Pakistan, please.
President Trump, sir, if you believe you can convince Vladimir Putin to end the war in Ukraine. President Zelensky, what is your reason? You believe Putin would negotiate in good faith, sir?
Please solve Afghanistan and Pakistan war.
Do you believe?
War started
Does
between
Putin negotiate in good faith, sir? Thank you.
Okay, so what's next will be the bilateral lunch. It's supposed to be in the cabinet room. Last time this happened was just earlier in the week with the Argentinian president, of course, Javier Milei. The president and the President Milei had their lunch, and we actually saw everything live from the cabinet room. So most likely, I would think, we're going to see that live picture again. And not only when I say we're as in RSBN, we're as in the media, because Sometimes it says it's closed press, and I think we're getting inside baseball lingo, but that's all right. Transparency is always good. So if something says closed press, it usually means that we won't get a live feed of it, but sometimes that changes right at the last second. Open press means a live feed, which is what we just saw there. So we'll see what happens here coming up in just a few minutes. It looks like 15 minutes from now is when we'll be seeing the President of the United States and the Ukrainian leader inside that cabinet room. In the meantime, let's go to a couple sponsors. I think the director just mentioned a sponsor. Is that right? There it is. All right, let's go to All Family Pharmacy as we continue to wait for the next live feed. Every year it's the same story. Someone in the family starts coughing, you think it's just a little cold, and then suddenly half the house is sick. And this year, we're already seeing it. Flu cases are climbing fast right now, and COVID's creeping back too, unfortunately. But the problem is, when everyone starts getting sick at once, pharmacies and clinics get slammed, and you can't find what you actually need. So that's why it pays to be prepared, of course, before it hits your home. If you're the kind of person who likes to plan ahead and keep your family protected, All Family Pharmacy, of course, is here to help. And your family might need in advance, so it's ready when you need it most. They have Tamiflu for the flu, ivermectin for parasites. There are more than 200
Происходят
medications to choose from, and every order is reviewed by a
НАТО
licensed. No insurance or extra appointments are needed. So don't wait, just go to allfamilypharmacy.com/RSBN, get 10% off.
НАТО
RSBN
нападает
10
на
promo
Россию.
code right there. Get your
Ходят
medicine cabinet
слухи,
ready
что
today. Also, let's go to
выбранные
monetary
цели.
gold. Two banks have already failed in 2025, and with 37 trillion in national debt, monetary gold says more
Да,
failures
здравствуйте,
are on the
Наталья.
way. It's not fear-mongering, it's reality. The banking system
Мы
is built on
ждем
quicksand, and every new failure
господина
threatens depositors,
Зеленского.
retirement accounts, and pensions. So the government can't bail out everyone, and when confidence collapses, so does the system. Monetary Gold tells us not to get trapped holding worthless paper, so give them a call. 888-617-7994. You can
Мне
get that
хорошо
free info
слышно,
kit on gold.
Наталья. Хорошо ли слышно
RSBNforthegold.com is another
диктора?
place you can go as well, and you can secure your wealth with real assets. As it's the bottom of the hour, 1:31. Looking live there, 3 vantage points. Great job by our production team with all of the behind-the-scenes stuff that happens here at Right Side Broadcasting Network, including the following. We had an interview with Tom Rens, and he is, of course, a conservative analyst, a conservative author, the host of the Tom Rens Show. What we'll do is this. It's about a 15-minute interview. It's just recorded within the past couple hours. We're going to air that for now. If we do see a live feed into the cabinet room, of course, we'll cut from that interview and go right there live because we are RSBN Live. That's what we do. But in the meantime, let's listen in for the Tom Rens interview now. Joining us now is conservative analyst, attorney, and host of the Tom Rens Show. Tom, thank you so much again for joining us on Right Side.
Glad to be here. Thanks, Matt.
Definitely. Let's go with this. What's your overall assessment of how things are going in the country? And hopefully you have 3 hours.
Yeah, it would take every bit of that. Not well. I don't know how else to say it. I mean, we're seeing some stuff get better. You know, grocery prices are still super high. Gas is going down a little bit. But the economy, I can't blame on Trump. The economy is 100.
And sometimes there's live technical difficulties. It is what it is. You just keep on rolling. Director, are we able to pull up the opinion poll that we did earlier? Are we able to do that? Okay, so we have a couple technical difficulties. So the thing that's interesting about Right Side Broadcasting Network is over the years, being put out there for 3 hours prior to a rally, as you guys know, we were able to tap dance pretty well. All right, let's go to Trump right now.
Здравствуйте всех тех, кто присоединяется. Добрый день.
It was beautiful, right?
Михаил проседает.
He walked in, we
Да,
put
ну,
on his
потому
music,
что-
right? He was great, great guy. He's coming December 5th to perform at the White House for some of the people. If the cabinet members are good, if they're doing a good job, we'll let them come along with some others, right? We're going to have a good time.
Это уже началось
December 5th.
включение из Белого дома.
Well, thank you very much, everybody. It's an honor to be with a very strong leader, a man who has been
Большая
through a lot,
честь быть рядом с
and a
сильным
man who I've
лидером,
gotten to know very well, and we've
который
gotten
прошел
along
через
really very
многое.
well. And we had a big call yesterday, as you know, with President
У нас
Putin, and
вчера
we'll be
был
talking
большой
about
разговор
it.
с президентом
President
Путиным.
Zelensky of Ukraine
Мы говорили об этом с ним.
has endured a lot. I mean, he really has. He's endured a lot, and we've endured it with him. To be honest, it's been a long time, and I think we're making great progress.
У нас
So we're
большой
going to be talking about
прогресс.
that today. We'll be talking about what took place yesterday with my phone call with President Putin, and I think that things are coming along pretty well. It began with Alaska, where I think
Началось
certain
все у нас
guidelines
с
were
Путиным в Аляске.
discussed, and we want to see if we can get this done. This was long ago into
Давайте
the Biden
посмотрим, получится ли
administration.
у
I
нас
came here and
прекратить эту войну.
inherited this, and we'd like to see if we could finish it, end it. We want it ended. So many
Мы
people
хотим
have died in this war,
Прекратить эту войну. Столько
and
людей.
we're gonna get it
умерли.
ended. So
И
I
мы
just want
этого
to thank you all
добьемся.
very much. If you have a couple of questions, go ahead, please. In fact, before I do that, let
Давайте
me just
парочку
ask the
вопросов давайте
president to
мне.
say a few words. Thank
Если,
you,
может быть,
President.
Зеленский хочет что-то сказать.
Glad to meet you again, Mr. President.
Я
Thank you
очень
very
рад
much
вас
for the
видеть
invitation.
снова.
Again, my congratulations with your successful
Мои
ceasefire in the Middle East.
поздравления вам
Yeah,
с вашим
you did
успешным
it.
прекращением
I think this is the momentum
огня
to
на
finish
Среднем
Russia's
Востоке.
war against Ukraine. I think that, yes,
И
we understand
прекрасная идея
that,
закончить
Putin
войну России против
is not ready.
Украины.
I think not ready, but I think that I'm confident that
Я
with
более
your
чем
help, we
уверен,
can stop this war.
что вы знаете, как остановить эту войну.
They don't have successful steps on the battlefield, and it's
У
good.
России абсолютно полный крах на поле боя.
They have a lot of losses.
У них очень много потерь.
Economy and people, and I think this is very important moment. And
Это очень важный момент во всей этой истории.
After our phone calls, yesterday I had
Я
good
хотел бы
opportunity to meet with the big American energy companies. And they're ready
большое
to
большое
help
вам спасибо
us.
выразить за возможность
Yes, after all these
встретиться
attacks on
с
our
руководителями больших
infrastructure,
энергетических
Russian attacks,
компаний
etc. And I had
в
also
США.
meetings, thanks to your team, we had meetings with the
У нас было
good,
очень много встреч
military companies we spoke about air
и
defense, and I want to share it
также с военными
after
компаниями,
with details where
о
we
которых
are.
мы говорили
Thank
по
you.
поводу
Thank you so much.
противовоздушной
Thank you very
обороны.
much.
И вот за все это вам огромное
I think it looks
спасибо,
beautiful in this
господин
jacket.
президент.
It's beautiful.
Ну, Какой
I hope
красиво
people
вы
notice it's a
выглядите,
good. It's
господин
actually very
Зеленский,
stylish. I like it.
в этом пиджаке.
Yeah, please go ahead.
Under the Biden administration, the White House
Господин президент,
possible escalation, they were not allowing the Ukrainians to strike into
не разрешал Байден стрелять вглубь России. А что вы думаете по этому вопросу, господин президент?
We're going to be talking about that.
Мы сейчас
That's
будем с
something we'll be
Зеленским
talking about.
об
You're
этом
right. It's an
разговаривать.
escalation, but we'll be talking about
Да,
it.
это будет, конечно, эскалация конфликта, но мы будем разговаривать.
Because it's a leader that we like. We like Viktor Orban. He likes him,
Почему
I
вы в
like him.
Венгрии
It's a country
решили
that's
встретиться? Ну, это из-за лидера. Мы
safe
оба с
country.
Путиным
Done a very
любим
good job.
Виктора
He's been
Орбана.
a very good leader in the sense of running his country.
Он прекрасный
Doesn't
лидер,
have a
он
lot of the
прекрасно
problems that
управляется с
other countries
Венгрией.
have. And so we've decided that we'll
Мы
be
решили,
going
он
to
нас обоих
be
устраивает.
with Viktor Orban, and he will,
Виктором
I
Орбаном.
think he'll be a very good host.
Он будет хорошим хозяином, что нас принять.
It's in,
Hungary, yeah. We're doing Hungary, yeah.
Мы делаем Венгрию.
Bilateral meeting, or is it just you and Putin?
Это будет только вы.
To be determined, but I would say most likely it's going to be a double meeting.
Это будет
It'll be a double meeting,
двойная
but we
встреча.
will have the president,
Сначала
Zelensky, in touch. There's
мы
a lot of
предупредим об
bad blood
этом президента
with the
Зеленского,
two
и всем ему
presidents.
передадим.
I'm not speaking out of turn when I say it. It's a very difficult situation.
И между
You know, we just settled the war
не очень
after
большая
thousands of years, I guess.
вражда.
People say
Если я смог
anywhere from
остановить
500
войну,
to 3,000 years, and
которая длится
I was
3000
in
лет,
rooms, as you saw, because you
я
were with me. A lot of you were with me
совершенно
last week
могу
with leaders that didn't
остановить
like each
войну,
other, but they were able to get along.
5 лет, и
These two leaders
то,
do
что
not like
эти
each
два
other.
лидера друг друга не работают, ненавидят, это
We
мне
want to
вообще
make
не
it
является
comfortable for
никаким
everybody. So,
препятствием.
one way or the other, will be involved in threes, but it may be separated.
President Trump, Mr. President.
Но это будут отдельные встречи.
Was he what? Where are you from?
From Ukraine. You actually had a
Okay,
conversation
good.
with me.
Good,
in
yeah.
Lake. What if President Putin doesn't agree to peace in Hungary?
А
What
что
do you do
если,
then? Do you
что
have-
если
Well,
не
let's see what
согласится
happens.
на
I
мир
mean, you know,
в
what
Венгрии?
if?
Что будет
I
после
think
этого?
he will. I think
Давайте
that
не
President
ставьте
Putin wants
вопросы
to end the war,
в
or I wouldn't be talking this way. I think he wants to end the war. I spoke to him yesterday for 2.5 hours.
Он хочет
We went
закончить
through a lot of
войну.
details. He
Давайте
wants to get it
посмотрим,
ended.
какой будет его
I think that
реальный
President
ответ.
Zelensky wants to
Нужно
get it
не-
ended.
не-
Now
не
we have to
давать
get it
себе
done.
President Trump,
Kara Castronova from Lindell TV, and although I love asking you questions, today my question is for President Zelensky of
Sure.
Ukraine.
Go ahead, please.
Thank you.
Сегодня у меня вопрос к президенту Зеленскому.
President Trump just brokered a peace deal in the Middle East that all Americans,
Президент Трамп
both
только
sides of
что
the aisle
сделал мир на
voted.
Ближнем
But to make
Востоке.
that deal, both sides had to make concessions. Our president has stuck out his neck in many ways.
И у
to
него
make a
очень
peace
много
deal for
опыта
Norway
по
as well.
прекращению
What
войн у
specific
нашего
concessions are you
президента.
willing to make to end this war with Russia?
А какие
Would you give up
действия
Georgia
президента
NATO?
Трампа вы
Americans
считаете
have
должны
more
быть,
fatigue, and our president
чтобы
says
эта война
we need
остановилась?
our
Что
common
должен
policy.
сделать президент Трамп?
To me.
Yes, you,
Okay.
President.
Это мне вопрос?
Thank you very
What
much.
concessions will you
That's some question, right?
So many questions in one. Thank you very much.
Столько много вопросов
First
в
of all, I
одном.
think we need to sit and speak.
В первую
The second
очередь
point,
должны
we
сесть и
need
поговорить.
ceasefire.
Потом мы должны
Even now, you see in
прекратить
the Middle East,
огонь.
it's very difficult to hold.
То есть
ceasefire
абсолютное
everywhere,
прекращение
in every
огня.
war. It's very difficult. We want peace. Putin doesn't want.
Мы
That's why we
хотим
need pressure
мир,
on him.
а Путин не
We
хочет
will
мира.
speak with President today.
И мы
what we
сегодня
We understand that we
поговорим
need
с президентом
to push
Трампом,
Putin to negotiation
и мы
table.
понимаем, что
And as
нужно
I said
сделать так, чтобы
previously, so
заставить
we are ready
на
to speak in
сесть
any
за
kind
стол
of
переговоров. Мы
forum.
это
Bilateral,
расскажем
trilateral,
сегодня
doesn't matter.
Дональду
Matter
Трампу.
Just peace. This is
Что,
important.
что важно?
We don't
Важен
speak about
мир.
NATO or NATO. For Ukrainians, it's very important. Of course,
Для Украины это
it's
очень важно.
our decisions of allies to decide where we are.
Это наше
Yes, but the most
решение
important thing,
союзников.
the most important thing for people in Ukraine, which
Именно
are under
причина
each
того,
day's
той
attack,
ситуации, в которой
to
мы
have
сейчас находимся.
really strong security guarantees. NATO is the best.
Нам нужны самые лучшие гарантии безопасности, и НАТО это лучшее решение для этого.
Security guarantees between me and President Trump is very important. I don't know, we didn't speak with details about it, but this is the most
Обеспечение
important document, because
безопасности
United States is very
Украины
strong.
– это самый главный вопрос, который мы можем
President
говорить
Trump,
с
you are the
президентом
middleman right now, hoping to end this conflict.
Президент Трамп,
Who
вы как бы
is doing
в
a better
середине
job
находитесь.
negotiating? President
И
Zelensky
вы
or President
великий переговорщик.
I think they're both doing a great job in that sense. We have to get it done. We've got to take some of the hatred of each other. You know, they don't like each other. I say
Я
that
знаю, что они
in
друг
front
друга
of President
ненавидят.
Zelensky, but I say it in front of President Putin too. They
Я
have
это говорю перед
tremendous bad blood. It's really is what is holding up, I think, a settlement. I think we're going to get it done,
Я думаю, что
and we have to make it long-lasting. As I said in the Middle East, everlasting, right? Everlasting.
А я, как вам уже
And
сказал,
the Middle East
останавливаю трехтысячные
is a
войны.
much more complicated situation. You know, we had 59 countries involved, and every one of them agreed. And it's, you know, it's sort of amazing. Most people didn't think that was doable. This is going to be something I really believe that's going to get done. I had a very good talk yesterday with President Putin. I think he wants to get it done.
You're right behind you. When we were in Israel with President Trump earlier in the week, we heard a lot about the difference in diplomacy between President Trump and President Joe Biden before him. What do you see as the biggest
четко
difference
замечаем разницу между такой дипломатией, которую ведете вы, и которую ведет Джо Байден. А что вы лично можете сказать, что чем отличается от Джо Байдена политика президента?
Is not the president, so he doesn't have a chance to finish this
Ну, я
war.
считаю, что у президента Трампа есть шансы закончить эту войну, а президента Байдена нету, просто потому что он не является президентом Соединенных Штатов сейчас. И если такой президент, как президент Трамп, смог остановить войну на Ближнем Востоке, то по поводу Украины мне вообще не остается...
I would say the biggest difference is one is extremely competent and the other one is grossly incompetent.
A few weeks ago in New York, when you two met, you said that you think Ukraine could ultimately take back all the territory that it's lost so far. Do you still think that's the case, or do you think there'll have to be some sort of
You never know. Look, you know, war is very interesting. You never know. You just never know with war.
Да вы знаете, война — это сложная штука. И мы будем говорить по поводу возвращения территории. Ну, посмотрим, что получится.
It continues using similar cruise missiles like Caliber and even...
Who are you with? Who are you with? You Ukraine?
Yeah. But Russia continue even using the cruise missiles and also nuclear-capable ballistic missiles in Ukraine since
Россия продолжает крылатые ракеты, использовать баллистические ракеты. А вы дадите ракеты такого же уровня, как Томагавк, чтобы мы могли защищаться, и чтобы они просто боялись то, что мы делаем? Мы будем об этом говорить.
Fair question. Exactly as he told you to say it, but we're going to be talking about it.
И это очень правильный вопрос, что вы задали.
You said
Мы
India
говорить
and
об этом с
Hungary?
президентом Путиным,
That's an interesting.
президентом Зеленским.
India and Hungary. It's an interesting combination.
Refuse to stop buying Russian oil.
Well, India is not going to be buying Russian oil anymore.
Прекратит.
And Hungary is sort of stuck because they have one pipeline that's been there for years and years and years, and they're inland. They don't have sea. They don't have sea. And I spoke with the very great leader of Hungary, and they are, you know, it's very hard for them to get oil. I understand it. Hungary's in a very interesting position because they can't have ports. You know, they're surrounded by land. So we'll see what happens there. But India will not be buying oil from Russia. They've already de-escalated and they've more or less stopped. They're pulling back. They bought about 38% of the oil, and they won't be doing it anymore.
President Trump has been helping you in achieving peace in Ukraine.
Who has?
First Lady Melania Trump has been helping.
Вот Мелания Трамп, она помогала вам, помогает вам мир заключить на Украине. Президент Зеленский, скажите, вам нравится, что делает Мелания Трамп?
No, she wanted to do it. She felt very strongly about the children. And
У Мелании четкая позиция по поводу детей.
Done a really good job, I think, in bringing it to the fore. You know, we have a lot of children involved. Now, it's some people say it's 20,000 and some people say it's 300. There's a big difference between that, so nobody really knows. But she felt very strongly about the children. She thinks about the children all the time.
Tomahawks to Ukraine. What's going to happen if the United States is in a conflict and we need?
Well, that's the problem. We need Tomahawks and we need a lot of other things that we've been sending over the last 4 years to Ukraine. We gave them a lot. Now we have a different situation. We send it to the European Union. They pay for it and all that, and they have plenty of money. But it's beyond the money. You know, we need Tomahawks, or we need a lot of other weapons that we're sending to Ukraine. And one of the reasons we want to get this war over is exactly that. It's not easy for us to give. You're talking about massive numbers of very powerful weapons. So that's one of the things we'll be talking about. Hopefully they won't need it. Hopefully we'll be able to get the war over with without thinking about tomahawks. I think we're fairly close to that. Yeah, go ahead.
To understand. So for today, of course, we want to finish this war, but the war is another technological war. You don't use just tomahawks. You want to target a military goal. You need thousands of drones. It goes together with such missiles. Ukraine has such thousands of our production drones, but we don't have tomahawks. That's why we need tomahawks. But the United States is a very strong production. And the United States has tomahawks and other missiles, very strong missiles. But they can have our thousands of drones. That's why we can work together, where we can strengthen
Соединенным Штатам в обмен на томагавки.
So you're suggesting kind of a trade.
Вы предлагаете сделку, то есть
обмен military goals. It's only about military goals.
Обмен томагавков на украинские дроны вы предлагаете президенту?
Yes, of course. Yes, we have proposition.
Именно это я и предлагаю. У нас коммерческое предложение к Дональду Трампу.
Is that something that you would be interested in, Ukrainian drones?
Дональд Трамп, а вы будете в этом заинтересованы?
We would. We have a lot of drones right now. We build our own drones, but we also buy drones from others. And they make a very good drone. Drone warfare has really come to the fore over the last couple of years because of this war. I will say, there's nothing like the jets. You know, we locked out a lot of drones in Israel. We were knocking them out for Israel. And we were doing it with extremely fast and powerful jets, following the drones and knocking the hell out of them. So we know a lot about the drones, and we know a lot about the great jets, the great ones. The ones, and the B-52s, which were totally they were stealth. They were undetectable. So we have a lot of different weapons. And, I have an obligation also to make sure that we're completely stocked up as a country, because you never know what's going to happen. In war and peace, right? You never know what's going to happen. So we're going to be talking about tomahawks, and would much rather have them not need tomahawks. Would much rather have the war be over, to be honest, because we're in it to get the war over. We're selling a lot of different types of weapon, as you know, to the European Union. We're not in it for that. We're in it to get it over. We're losing thousands of people a week. Thousands of people. Russian, Ukrainian, mostly soldiers. Mostly soldiers. But we're in it to see that end. And if we can end quickly, and I think we can. I mean, I had a very good talk yesterday. We're going to be talking about it. But I had a very productive talk yesterday with President Putin. We'll see what happens. But the war in the Middle East was far more complicated. We got that one done. And I think we have a good chance. I think President Zelensky wants it done, and I think President Putin wants it done. Now all they have to do is get along a little bit.
Can you give us an update on the trade negotiations with China, or perhaps?
Yeah, I will, and I'm going to let Scott do that. But I think we're doing very well. I think we're getting along with China. China would like to have something as of this moment. We'll be meeting in a couple of weeks. We'll be meeting in South Korea, myself. I think so. It looks like it's going forward. I think so. They want to meet. We like to meet. I have a very good relationship with President Xi, and we're going to see what happens. But, for years we were taken advantage of by China very badly. We were losing hundreds of billions of dollars a year to China. We really built their military, if you think about it. The kind of money that presidents allowed to be lost to China was just insane. And then when I came into office, as you know, I put very severe tariffs. And we took in hundreds of billions of dollars in my first term from China. Biden let that go because it was so much. He let it continue, but he gave all sorts of exceptions. And by the time you looked at it, Scott, I would say there wasn't it wasn't the same thing. He would give an exception for anything. If you got up and went out to dinner, he'd give you an exception. So it wasn't the same thing. But I put on very serious tariffs. So we took in hundreds of billions of dollars. And then I left office. The election was rigged. I left office, and that was the story. Now I come back. And we are in a very strong position because of tariffs. We're in a very powerful position because of the fact that we have tariffs. If we didn't have tariffs, we would be in a very weak position. We would be in a weakened state. But with tariffs, we made hundreds of billions of dollars, not only from China, but from others. And China wants to talk, and we like talking to China. So we have a very good relationship, and we're going to be meeting in South Korea in a couple of weeks. And I just got back from a long trip. I'm going on another long trip. And Scott, you want to say a few words on that?
С очень-очень длинной поездки сейчас. Скотт, скажи что-нибудь по Китаю. И на прошлой неделе Китай поднял эскалацию на новый уровень, диктуя нам, что мы можем делать по поводу металлов, редких драгоценных металлов.
And then he and I and a delegation will meet in Malaysia probably a week from tomorrow to prepare for the two presidents to meet.
И вот через неделю начнется подготовка к встрече Китая и Америки.
Respect that we have shown them.
И мы надеемся, что Китай покажет нам такое же уважение, как мы
his relationship with President Xi will be able to get things back on a good course.
И мы надеемся, что президент Xi вернет все на прежний.
Look, I think we're in a very strong position. I think we're in a very strong position.
А вот я считаю, что
we're getting, as of November 1st, I could move it up if I wanted.
1 ноября
a 100% tariff over and above what we get now. So that would make it about 157%. And China doesn't want that, and they want to talk. And we're talking, and I think we'll make a deal that will be good for both. I think we will do something. But you have to understand, we never got anything from China. It was a one-way street. For many years, for decades, it was a one-way street. And they became rich because of the United States. And frankly, presidents that, let's be nice, they didn't know. They just didn't know. They didn't understand what was happening to them. But I understood. I understood it long before I ran for politics. I used to watch in amazement at how stupid our country was, how stupid they were. And we're not stupid anymore. And that includes with the European Union, that includes with Japan and South Korea. All we want to do is be treated fairly. But the fairly is hundreds of billions and even trillions of dollars coming into the United States. And it's our national security is secure because of tariffs. If we didn't have tariffs, we would have no national security. So it's very important. I'll be discussing that, but I'd love to see it ended before that. I mean, I think we have a chance of ending the war quickly if flexibility is shown on behalf. And again, we're not losing people. The United States is not, we're not losing people, we're not spending money, we're getting paid for the, ammunition and missiles and everything else that we're sending to the European Union, to NATO. But it's very similar. If you look at the countries, I mean, it's very similar. And we just made a very fair trade deal with the European Union. And what we wanted, and we made a very good deal with NATO too. They pay for all of this. That's not what we're in this for. We're in it to save thousands of lives every week. Thousands and thousands of lives. That's why we're in it. And I think we have a very good chance of bringing this war to a conclusion.
President, and your cabinet has done an honestly an excellent job. I think that a lot of people could agree to that. I'm speaking as someone who lost my father in a war, so I know the human cost. What would your advice to be to American leaders, to world leaders, to neocons, to TV hosts who often speak about conflict in abstract or strategic terms rather than the human cost and the human cost?
Look, my only statement is we have to get together. It's a very small group of people. It's the president, and the president. Okay, 3 presidents. And I'm the mediator, President.
И вообще не говорят,
And I'm mediating not an easy situation. It should be easy, but it's a lot easier when people understand each other, when they get together, and when they like each other. We don't necessarily have that situation as far as like is concerned. Maybe it can turn around. Maybe it can. But in the meantime, we'll have them keep a little. This is number 9. Okay, this will be number 9 for me. I've solved 8, including the Middle East. I've solved 8. This, I thought, would have been among the easiest. We solved, President Putin mentioned yesterday Armenia, all of the different wars. He said it was amazing because but the big one that he was surprised that we were able to settle was the Middle East. He thought it was incredible. He was very generous in that sense. This should be something we're able to settle. And I think we will be able to settle.
No doubt, and you will resolve this war.
Well, resolved 8 others. It's funny how people say that. If you get this one, every time I do one, they forget about that one. I solved 8 wars. Go to Rwanda and the Congo, talk about India and Pakistan. Look at Thailand. Look at all of the wars that we solved. And every time I solve one, they say, if you solve the next one, you're going to get the Nobel Prize. I didn't get a Nobel Prize. Somebody got it. It was a very nice woman. Very nice. I don't know who she is, but she was very generous. So I don't care about all that stuff. I just care about saving lives. But this will be number 9. But every time I solve one, they said, sir, if you solve one more, you're going to be known as a peacekeeper. So to the best of my knowledge, we've never had a president that solved one war. Not one war. Bush started a war. A lot of them start wars, but they don't solve the wars. They don't settle them. And especially when when they have nothing to do with us. I sell almost, I guess, just about all of these wars had nothing to do with us. But I saved tens of millions of lives. The Prime Minister of Pakistan said, I saved millions of lives in interceding on Pakistan. And you look atAkistan and India as an example. That would have been a bad one, 2 nuclear nations, right? So I say this is pretty much the last one, although I do understand that Pakistan attacked, or there is an attack going on with Afghanistan. That's an easy one for me to solve if I have to solve it. In the meantime, I have to run the USA, but I love solving wars. You know why? I like stopping people from being killed. And I've saved millions and millions of lives. And I think we're going to have success with this war. Wait, please.
Постановки российско-украинской войны.
And by the way, you look excellent.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Вы прекрасно выглядите, господин Зеленский.
This is your third time here. How different sitting across from the president is this time versus the 2 previous times in the White House? And how confident are you hearing the success rate of prior wars that you can get this war solved?
В офисе президента.
First of all, about suit.
Это все
the same suit because the same president. It's very simple. The next president will have another suit. Yes, about our relations with President Trump, I think we have important dialogues, and I think we began to understand each other. Yes, and I know that President is briefed very well about situation in the battlefield. He knows a lot what's going on in the battlefield in Ukraine. And I think it really helps. When you know a lot of things, a lot of details about one or another war, it helps a lot. But
это очень нам помогает, что президент так осведомлен об этом.
But we are still in war. And I hope we can manage it. I think it's important.
Countries that are not meeting their commitment. You pointed out Spain. They said that it's impossible.
No, Spain has not come through. No, Spain has not been loyal to NATO. Spain has been the only one. Everyone went up to, as you know, I mean, we were 2% and they all went up to 5%, but Spain disagreed with that.
До 5% они просто отказались.
Spain should be reprimanded for that. I think it's very bad that they did that, but that's up to them. That's up to NATO and Spain. Can they or not?
They cannot, according to the treaty, but they also claim that they are protected by the European Union umbrella for trade.
Well, the other people, many of the other countries are in the European Union too. They're not complaining, right? Yeah, please go ahead.
Do you think you can carry the momentum from the Middle East deal over to this deal? And
I
if
do.
so, how does that move the needle?
Yeah, I do. I think we carry a lot of momentum, a lot of credibility. Getting Middle East done was very important. Nobody thought it could be done. That was one nobody thought could be done, and we got it done. And a lot of that was the big hit that we put on Iran with respect to the nuclear they took. That was an unbelievable military maneuver, the B-2s, and many other planes involved, by the way, but the B-2s. Yeah, I think nobody expected that to happen. And, we had 59 countries involved, and these were countries very diverse. You had Arab, Muslim, Jewish, you had every kind of, every country, Christian, you had every country, and many countries involved. And we got that done, and we got it done pretty swiftly after we set the table properly. We had to set the table properly. This should be one that we get done. And I think the table is set properly here now, too. And it'll be a great honor. It'll be a great honor to get it done. And the Ukrainian people are great, and the Russian people are great. And obviously they have much in common, as we understand. They have a lot in common. So it'll be a great honor to get it done. Yeah.
There are survivors from your latest boat strike. What happens to those survivors?
Well, I'll ask Marco to discuss that possibly.
Yeah, it's well known there's an ongoing narco-terrorist operation the United States has been conducting. As far as details of any recent strikes, we're not prepared here to announce all those details, but you'll get that information here very shortly. Yeah, again, I mean, we're undertaking these operations against narco-terrorists. That's what these are. These are terrorists. Let's be clear. And but as far as the details of any recent operations, when we are prepared to announce those, we will, as the president has consistently done. So you may get something on that later today.
Let me ask you, that was in a submarine, right? We attacked a submarine, and that was a drug-carrying submarine built specifically for the transportation of massive amounts of drugs, just so you understand. This was not an innocent group of people. I don't know too many people that have submarines. And that was an attack on a drug-carrying, loaded-up submarine. Yeah.
On Putin, is it your belief, as Mr. Zelensky said yesterday, that the threat of tomahawks and costs, as Secretary Hicks put it, is that bringing him to the table, the fact that it's kind of a carrot and stick?
I don't know what's bringing him to I think he wants to make a deal, that's all. I can't tell you what's bringing him. Sure, that's the threat of that is there, but the threat of that is always there. Tomahawks are very dangerous weapons. They're incredible weapons. If you like warfare, it's one of the most accurate. We used, we hit 30 Tomahawks in Iran after the B-2s did their damage. We sort of gave it a little capper with 30 Tomahawks from a submarine. Quite far away, actually, but they're an amazing weapon. They're a very powerful weapon, but they're a very dangerous weapon, and it could mean big, escalation. It could mean a lot of bad things can happen. Tomahawks are a big deal, but one thing I have to say, we want Tomahawks also. We don't want to be giving away things that we need to protect our country. We have a very strong country right now. We have a strong military. We have the greatest military in the world. We have the greatest weapons in the world. I want to get this war over.
Are
you interested?
I just heard about it. A tunnel from Russia to Alaska. I just heard about that one. That's an interesting one. We'll have to think about that. I hadn't heard that. We just did a nice road in Alaska that's going to get us to a lot of minerals, and we have a piece of it, a good piece of the ownership because of the fact we made it possible. But this came up yesterday, a tunnel from Russia to Alaska. That's an interesting. What do you think of that, Mr. President? Do you have any ideas? How do you like that idea?
I'm not happy with this.
I don't think you're going to like it. I don't think he liked it. I don't think he liked it.
President Trump, do you think that Vladimir Putin
Зеленский говорит, что ему не нравится.
Your gut instinct.
Well, we had a senator that wanted, remember, from Hawaii, she wanted a tunnel from the mainland to Hawaii. Then she said, well, we can't do that, so we're going to build a railroad to Hawaii. Do you remember? She's a current sitting senator, a Democrat. She wants a railroad to go to Hawaii, right? You know who that is, right? She's another beauty.
President Trump, your gut instinct.
Yeah, please.
On your meeting with Putin, aren't you concerned that maybe the Russian president is trying to buy himself more time?
Yeah, I am. But,
Понимаете,
you know,
хотят себе просто
I've been
больше
played all
времени.
my life by the best of them, and I came out
Русские хотят
really well.
больше времени. Вы знаете,
So it's possible, yeah, a little time. It's all right.
моей жизни.
But I think
У меня
that
все хорошо,
pretty
я
good at this stuff.
понимаю.
I think that he wants to make a deal. I made
Мне кажется,
8 of them. I'm going to
Путин
make a 9th.
хочет
I think he wants to
закрыть
make a
эту
deal.
сделку. И я сделал 8 сделок, я еще и 9 сделаю.
Well, I think that he should have won the war in a week. Yeah, I do
Вообще
think.
должен был
And if we didn't
неделю.
give the anti-tank missiles, as you know, the javelins they call them, they got stuck in the mud. They would have been in Kiev very quickly. They were
Если бы
heading
не
to
наши
Kiev.
жавелины, то
You know,
Россия была
in
уже
war,
в
you have a
Киеве
lot of
очень
luck too.
быстро.
You know, people, weather has won war, and the cold and the heat, and all things take place in war. But that was a very interesting moment when the tanks started rolling, and some brilliant general said, "Let's go through the mud instead of going down the highway." Right? So they got a little bit lucky. But you know where they really got lucky? I gave javelins. That wasn't given by Barack Hussein Obama. He gave them sheets. You know, there's a statement. Obama gave them sheets, and I gave them the javelins. And the javelins are a devastating weapon. And
Бумажки
that
дал
wasn't given by
Obama. Я дал
Obama. That was given by Trump, because at the time it was Obama. That was given by
очень
me.
оружие.
So it was like
Это я
one of
дал
those things.
Павелины
And you have
Украине, а не
hundreds of
Обама.
them. Hundreds of them.
Сотни
They're a devastating
павелинов.
weapon. We have a lot of devastating weapons. I'd rather not use
Очень
them.
много
But
разрушительных
that was a big
оружий.
moment. You know, when the tanks got stuck, they got stuck. And call it luck or call it talent. I'm not sure what you'd call it, but it was a big moment in time.
Do you think Democrats will give you credit? Do you think Democrats will give you credit when
Остановились
you
в
finally end this
грязи.
war, like they did with the war in the Middle East?
Не понял.
I think right now the Democrats are really damaged, mentally damaged.
А что было
They want to take
демократы, они
1.5
Нет.
trillion with a T, $1 trillion and give it to people that invaded our country. They came into our country illegally
людям, которые
from prisons, from
фактически
mental institutions, gang members.
Захватывают
They want to give them
страну,
health care
гангстеры,
and take it away from our citizens. We're not going to do that. $1.5 trillion. They want to destroy. They want to destroy our health care system. We're not going to let that happen.
President CIA operations in Venezuela.
А что по
Well, I
поводу
wouldn't say that,
ПВО,
but
по поводу операции
some interesting
Венесуэла,
things are happening around the world. I'll say that.
в мире происходит интересная вещь.
Maduro offered everything in his country, all the natural resources. He even recorded a message to you in English recently, offering mediation. What should we do in order to stop that?
He has offered everything. He's
Maduro
offered
уже
everything.
все
You're
нам
right.
предложил,
You know why?
устраивает.
Because he doesn't want to fuck around with the United States. Thank you, everybody.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Thank you, everybody.
Вот поэтому он нам всегда даст Мадуро. Спасибо вам большое. Ходите, уходите, репортеры. Закончил наш президент Трамп.
Thanks, President Trump.
Это
Thank you.
прекрасная
Good
нота.
job.
Я тоже заканчиваю свой эфир. Всем большое спасибо. Большое до свидания. С вами был Влад Гаспарян. Подписывайтесь на канал.